So what is the data type of this array? Complex numbers. Now here I'm trying to store the values of which type? String. What is the type of this is? Unsigned character. What is this called? Unsigned character, where each character takes one byte. Where each character takes what? One byte, right? And when you are trying to store multiple elements, you are trying to store how many elements? Multiple elements with multiple types. You are trying to store multiple elements with what? Multiple types. This element type is what? Integer. This integer and this is float and this is what? Complex. But I said array is a collection of similar type or different type? Similar type. Then what will happen? It will try to convert this integer and float into which type? Complex type. So that is called as typecasting. It will do the typecasting. So you learn this in Python. There are two types of typecastings. One is implicit, and one more is explicit. Okay, you have a two types of typecastings. One is implicit and one more is what? Explicit. Implicit means the conversion done by the Python runtime system. Explicit means that conversion which is done by the programmer. Implicit means the conversion which is done by the Python runtime system. Explicit means the conversion which is done by programmer. How programmer will do the conversion? Tell me here. How the programmer will do the conversion? By using type conversion functions. Programmer will do the conversions by using what? Type conversion functions. You find various type conversion functions are not? Yes. Like integer function, float function, complex function. But there are some conversions which are done by the runtime. For example, if I'm saying 1 plus 1.5, if I'm writing 1 plus 1.5, what is the result of this is 2.5. So automatically the result of this expression is which type? Float. If I'm writing 1 plus, if I'm writing 1 plus 1.5 plus 1 plus, okay, 1 plus 2j, then what will happen? It will try to return the result in which type? Complex type. It will try to return the result in complex. It will return the result in complex type. Going on, because in this all the types, which one is a broader type? Complex. That is what you learn when you work with the Python. So complex integer is less than float. Integer is less than float, and float is less than which one? Complex. Integer is less than float, and float is less than what? Complex. So when you have these three data types, always the result is written in which type? Complex type. Now, now ND array provides various functions. ND array provides, now string cannot be converted. String, now you are talking about string. Now string is more priorities given here. All these are data types. Yes, ma'am. So you have a data types like integer 8, integer 16, integer 32, integer 64, float 32, float 64, complex 128, complex 256, object and unsigned integer value. Okay, now this is one more question is asked here. What about string? Now, can you convert a string into integer? Tell me, can you convert string to integer? No. Can you convert integer to string? Yes. You can convert integer to string, but you cannot convert string to what? Integer. So if you are creating an array with integer, float, complex number and string, then it will convert into which type? String type. It will convert into which type? String. Okay, string. It will convert those things into a string type. Let us see that. Okay, right now, suppose, so what I'm doing is I'm saying import NumPy. I'm writing import NumPy as NP, and I'm creating an array by saying A equal to NP dot. What is the name of the function I'm using? Array. So one required argument. One required argument. Now here I'm converting list into what? Array. So it required a source. For creating an array, what do you required? A source. Now the source can be any type. Okay, it can be a scalar type or it can be collection type. Okay. So I'm trying to write 1 comma 1.5 comma 1 plus 2j comma within double quotes. I'm writing some x. Within double quotes, I write x. Now, this is an array. I mean, this is a list contain different types of values. There is an integer, float, complex number, and one more is a string. So what will happen if I'm trying to print an array here? I try to print an array. Now it is having all the values converted into which type? String type. It's a simple logic because you cannot convert integer. I mean, you cannot convert string to integer or float or complex. But you can convert other values into which type? String type. Getting on. So always the highest preference is given to which type? String. It is given to which type? String, right? If I'm trying to say print a dot d type. D type means data type. What is the D type stands for? Data type. Unsigned integer. Now how many bits? 64 bits. Getting or not, right? So this is what you have to understand. So array cannot hold different types of values. Array can hold only similar type of values. But can you represent data type explicitly? Can you represent data type explicitly? Yes. You can define the data type what? Explicitly. At the time of creating an array, you can define the data type of each data type of an array or size of each and every element. So that is how you can reduce the space and by using which you can increase what? Efficiency. Okay. Now, if you see the output of this is converted into which type? String type. Your array contain the elements of which type? String type. Now here I'm creating an array. Now here I'm creating an array. Okay. I'm creating an array by saying np dot array. You are creating an array. See, this is NumPy is very important because without NumPy, you cannot work with any other collections. Because NumPy is a other libraries like data science, other libraries, AI, other libraries completely depends on which one? NumPy. Now you can say it is a core. Array is a core. Array is a core of data science and AI. Anything you represent in data science and AI in the form of rows and columns, compulsory you have to use which one? Array only. Understood? Okay. So just remember this. Okay. So np dot array, I'm creating an array with 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Now here I'm writing a print b, and then I'm printing b dot d type. I said print b, then I said b dot d type. So what is the data type here? 64 bits. Means each value takes how many bytes? 8 bytes. But for storing one, is it required to have 8 bytes? No. You are unnecessarily wasting what? Memory. Yes or no? Because of that, because of that, NumPy is provided some data types. If I'm writing np.array, I'm saying 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Now all these are which type of values? Integer values. But what is the size of each integer value? 64 bits. Means each value will occupy how many bytes? 8 bytes. But for storing one, is it required 8 bytes? No. For storing one, how many bytes you required? 1 byte only. For storing one, you required how many bytes? 1 byte. But for storing one, it is taking how many bytes? 8 bytes. Then what will I do is I try to define, I reduce the space. But how I reduce the space? By representing what here? Data type. By representing a data type. I'm saying data type equal to np dot, I'll say integer. Integer 8. I said integer 8. Integer 8, integer 16, integer 32, right? Integer, yes. Yes. Yours is 32 bit, huh? Just check. Huh? So yes, because of that. So int 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then just to see here, print c dot data type. Print c dot data type. So what is the data type here? Integer 8. So what will happen? It will create one dimensional array. How many objects are created? Bolo here, how many objects are created in this? The statement create how many objects? Huh? The statement create how many objects? How many objects it create? One object. How many objects it create? One object. Not 5 objects. Not 6 objects. If it is list, it create how many objects? 6 objects. List itself is one object and each value in the list is one more object. So total how many objects? 6 objects. 6 objects will be created. But in this case, how many objects are created? One object. And this one object contain how many values? 5 values. And each value it reserve the space of how many bytes? 8 bytes. Sir. 1 byte here. Integer 8 means not 8 bytes. Integer 8 means what? 8 bits. 8 bits equal to 1 byte. 8 bits equal to 1 byte. Okay, not 8 bytes. Kya yaar? Okay. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, and one more is a 5. So each memory location, size is how many bytes? 1 byte. This is 1 byte, this is 1 byte, this is 1 byte, this is 1 byte, and this is 1 byte. So your data is occupied how many bytes? 5 bytes. Your data is occupied how many bytes? 5 bytes. But in this case, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many bytes each value is? 8 bytes. Now 8 into 5. How many bytes your data occupies? 40 bytes. But for storing one, you don't require 8 bytes. Now you try to define the size. Why you define the size? Why you define the size? To reduce the space. Because suppose you want to fill with zeros. Is it zeros required 8 bytes? Eh? No, not required, right? Assume that it is a 16-bit image, 32-bit image. Suppose if it is 16-bit image or 32-bit image, then if it is 16-bit image, then each bit size is how many? 16-bit means how many bytes? 2 bytes. Then you create an array with number of rows and columns, and each value takes how many bytes? 2 bytes. 2 bytes. 2 bytes. 2 bytes are not. So if you are trying to reserve the space of 8 bytes, you are unnecessarily wasting space. So always the efficiency is calculated based on two things. Two things. One is the space and one more is the time. If your program occupies more space, then obviously efficiency is what? Decrease. Obviously efficiency is what? Decrease. How can I find the size of each item? By using one more attribute. there is one more attribute is there called item size. There is one more attribute provided by NDRA object. There is one more attribute provided by NDRA object. And what is that attribute is? Yes. There is one more attribute provided by NDRA object. What is that attribute is? Item size. Item size is there. Okay. Now just see here. Okay. Now here I'm writing. Okay. I'm writing print. So print C dot. C dot. What is the attribute name is? Item size. The attribute name is item size. And what is the size of each item is 1 byte. Now D type returns the type along with the size. D type returns the type along with the size. Okay. But this is in what? This 8 is what? Bits. 8 is what? Bits. But item size written what? Bytes. Each item will take how many bytes? 1 byte. So total how many bytes? 5 bytes. Just to see here. I'm writing a D. I'm writing a D. So all these are fundamentals. Okay, D equal to NP dot array. NP dot array, I'm saying 10 comma 20 comma 30 comma 40 comma 50. Now by default, will it take the size or data type and size or not? Yes. Okay, I'm trying to say print D and D dot D type, D dot D type and print D dot item size. What is the size of each item now? Bolo here, 8 bytes. What is the size of each item here? 8 bytes. 8 bytes. 8 bytes. Each item size is what here? 8 bytes. So there is another attribute, and what is the name of the attribute is item size. Okay. Now this attribute, okay, this attribute, so this attribute returns the size of each item. The size of each item is nothing but value. Okay, element, item is nothing but value or element exists within the array. That is called as an item, right? So this attribute returns the size of each item. It returns the size of each item exists, exists within, exists within array. So this attribute returns size in bytes. This attribute returns size in what? Bytes. It returns the size in bytes. Size is nothing but how much memory it is occupied. How much memory it is occupied, so that you can call it as which one? Size. How much memory it is occupied, that is called as a size. Tell me, is it this is clear? Bolo yaar, yes or no? Okay, you understood what is a D type and item size? Okay, can you define the type explicitly or not? Yes. Okay, how you define this type explicitly? By using which attribute? D type. D type is an attribute. Now suppose if I'm writing E equal to NP dot array, I'll say 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 comma D type equal to NP dot float float what? What is the name of the data type? Float what? 32. I'm saying float 32. Now tell me, your array contains the elements of which type? Integers, right? Then if you don't give the type, it will create an array of which type? Integer. But what you're doing? You are converting these values from integer to what? Float. So are you doing conversion or not? Yes. You are doing conversion. Okay, now print E and print E dot, what is this? D type. Okay, now if you see all these values are which type? Float type. Now this is implicit conversion or explicit? Explicit means you do the conversion. You are doing the conversion by using what here? Data type. You are doing the conversion by using a data type. In the same way, I'm writing f equal to np dot array, np dot array 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. All these are the values of which type? Integer. I'm saying d type equal to np dot complex 128. Complex 128 means you are converting all these values into which type of complex. It means 1, 2, 3 are which type of complex. Means one is real or imaginary. One is real or imaginary. Real. One is a real. One is a real. I'm saying f dot d type and f dot, what is this here? Item size. This is explicit conversion. This is what? Explicit conversion. Now each item takes how many bytes? 16 bytes. 16 bytes wherein what do you call it as 4 is real and 4 bytes is for what? Imaginary. 4 bytes is for real and 4 bytes is for imaginary. So this is explicit conversion. Implicit conversion and explicit conversion. Understood? Right? Otherwise, the conversion is done by the NumPy. Otherwise, the conversion is done by the NumPy. If I'm writing np.array, if I'm saying 1 comma 1.5, 1 comma 1.5, then are you given any type? No. But array is a collection of similar type or different type? Similar type. Similar type, but you are trying to create a list with how many values? Two values. One is integer and one more is a float. It will convert integer into which type? Float. So now this conversion is implicit or explicit? Implicit. Implicit means done by the system. Explicit means done by the programmer. Remember that. Remember that. So NP, now I print G and print G dot D type. So what is the type it will take is float. Float is 64 is 8 bytes. Now this is 1.0 and this is 1.5. 1.0 and 1.5. What is the number? Stravani, yes. What you're asking? What is that number at the ending of float? This one, 1 point. 1.0. This is 1.0 and this is 1.5. This one, 128 bits. Complex 128 bits means how many bytes? Array, 16 bytes. 128 bits. This is again 64 bits. And this is float 32 bits. 32 bits is nothing but 4 bytes. Yes. So that is what is the meaning of it. 64 means 8. 64 means 8. How many values are array? What is this here? Siddharth. Siddharth, what you are asking here? How many values can you store in 120 int 8? Tell me here. How many values you store in int 8? Int 8 means 1 byte, right? So 1 byte. Int 8 means what? 1 byte. For example, if I'm creating an array like this, just listen here. Okay, A equal to np dot array, np dot array 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Is it all these values are stored in one memory location? No. Total how many memory locations? 5. Continuous or random? Continuous. Continuous or random? Continuous, right? So what will happen? It will create array object. and it will create an array object with how many locations? How many memory locations? 5 memory locations. And what is the size of each memory location? 1 byte. कुछ दिया क्या यहाँ पे? Did I given the size? No, size is not given means how many bytes? 8 bytes. Each location takes how many bytes? 8 bytes. In one location you store how many values? Or in one location you store how many values? One value only. In one location you store how many values? One value. Understood? In one location you can store only one value. You cannot store multiple values. Now this is also how many bytes? 8 bytes. This is also 8 bytes. This is also 8 bytes. This is also 8 bytes. Understood? So each value takes how many bytes? 8 bytes. 8 bytes. Okay. So one location contain only one value. Okay now. Suppose now 1 byte. 1 byte is there. Now 1 byte. 1 byte equal to 8 bits. 8 bits means so whenever you are talking about size, that size represent the range of values can be used. The range of values can be stored within that memory location. Suppose, for example, you have a 1 liter bottle. 1 liter. This is which bottle? 1 liter bottle. In 1 liter bottle, you can put only 1 liter water. Yes or no? Suppose half-liter bottle. Half-liter bottle, you can put only half-liter. So what is 1 liter, half-liter size? Yes or no? Suppose you have 1 kg. You have a 1 kg bag. In 1 kg bag, you can put only 1 kg products. In 2 kg bag, you can put only 2 kg products. So what is 1, what is 2 here? Size. What is 1 and 2 here? Size. Yes or no? Suppose in 1 kg bag, can you put 2 kg products? No, it will overflow. What will happen? Overflow. In the same way, every value is having every data type will have the range. That is a minimum value and maximum value. Okay, suppose if it is 1 byte, 1 byte is equivalent to how many bits? 8 bits, which is nothing but 2 to the power of 8. How many values you can store? 2 to the power of 8 means 256 values you can store. 256 values you can store. That is from minus 128 to plus 127. What is the range of values you can store? Minus 128 to plus 127. Minus 128 to what? Plus 127. Now you convert this 127 into binary. Convert this 127 into binary. It will take how many bits? 8 bits. If you convert this 127 into binary, it will take how many bits? 8 bits. Anyway, 1 bit is reserved for sign. So it will take how many bits? 7 bits it will take it. Okay. So it means what is the maximum value held by 1 byte? Array, what is the maximum value held by 1 byte? 127. What is the minimum value held by 1 byte? Minus 128. What is the maximum value held by 1 byte? 127. What is the minimum value held by 1 byte? Minus 128. In the same way, suppose you will say 2 bytes. 2 bytes is equal to which one? 16 bits. It's nothing but 2 to the power of 16. How many values you can store? 2 to the power of 16 values you can store it. It's nothing but 65,536. And this you split into two, positive and negative range. Minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. Now in 2 bytes, I can store the value which range from minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. If I want to store more than 32,767, then I should not go for how many bytes? 2 bytes. I should go for how many bytes? 4 bytes. So every data type is having a range. I mean, range of values it can hold it. The range of values it can hold it, right? Suppose, assume that now just to see here. See here, I'm writing A. A is an array and I'm saying NP dot array. NP dot array, I'm saying 200, 300, 400. 200, 300 and 400 and then I'm saying D type. D type equal to NP dot integer 8. What I've given? NP dot integer 8 and then I said print A. Print A and what will happen if I run this? Immediately it is given what? Error. It is given what? Error. So what is it? Error is overflow error. अभी 1 kg बैग में 1 kg आता उससे ज्यादा घुसा सकते हैं क्या? नहीं. Right? It will overflow. What will happen? Overflow. Now in 1 byte, you can store only the values which range from minus 128 to plus 127. But is it this 200, 300, 400? Now 200 is within the range? No. 200 will take 1 byte or more than 1 byte? More than 1 byte. 300 will take 1 byte or more than 1 byte? More than 1 byte. 400 will take 1 byte or more than 1 byte? More than 1 byte. You cannot put this 400 value in 1 byte space. You cannot put this 300 into 1 byte space. So immediately it is given which error? Overflow error. In the same way, for example, if I am writing B equal to NP dot array. B equal to NP dot array, I am saying here some 40,000, 40,000, 50,000, 60,000. See here. 40,000, 50,000, 60,000, comma D type equal to D type equal to NP dot, NP is numpy array module dot, you are accessing one value or one attribute that is integer. How many? 16. I said integer 16. How many bytes? 2 bytes. But what is the range of 2 bytes? Minus 32,768 to plus 32,767. You can store only the value in that location. You can store only the value which range from minus 32,768 to what? Plus 32,767. But is it this value is within the range or outside the range? Outside the range. It is not within the range. It is outside the range. Then what will happen? Immediately. Again it is given which error? Overflow error. Are you getting or not? क्या बोलते हैं यार? Huh? So you can store the value. You can store the value within the range. Within the range means every data type is having, okay, every data type is having a size, and within that location or within the size you can store the range of values which is having minimum value as well as maximum value. But how you calculate? How you calculate? Just now I said no. How you calculate? How you calculate? 1 byte equal to how many bits? 8 bits is nothing but 2 to the power of 8. Whatever value you'll get, divide this into what? Positive and negative. So some number of values said negative, number of values said positive. That is how you calculate, right? Yes. So this is an overflow error. This is an overflow error here. If the value is not within the range, then you might come across this kind of errors. Then compulsory, you have to change what here? Type. You have to change the type. It is not within the range. It is outside the range. It is not within the range. It is outside the range. At the end, I'll share the notebook. Okay, not in the beginning. At the end, I'll share the notebook. Okay, not in the beginning. अभी share करे तो आप लोग कुछ नहीं करते. Okay, you just open the notebook and run. But you need to practice, right? Still, I don't share the notebook. Huh? But after, at the end of the NumPy, I'll share the NumPy notebook. So whatever things we did, all the things will be there in the notebook, right? Yes. So what is the name of this is attribute is item size. Then what is the next attribute is there is one more attribute is there. What is the name of the attribute is n bytes. There is one more attribute is there called n bytes. So there is one more attribute called n bytes. Now this attribute, what it will do is it will return total number of bytes. Item size is written the size of each element. Okay, the size of each element. Now suppose I am writing A equal to np dot array, A equal to np dot array, A equal to np dot array 1 comma 2 comma 3. 1 comma 2 comma 3, A dot D type, and I'm saying A dot item size, A dot D type, A dot item size, A dot, what is the name of the attribute? N bytes. N bytes. Now when I run this, you can see integer 64 and you can see how many? 8 and then how many bytes total? 24. 24 bytes are 24 bits are bits. Bytes are bits are bits are bytes are. So 64 means now 8 into 3. Each value take how many bytes? Each value takes how many bytes? 8 bytes. 8 into 3. 8 into 3 is how many bytes? 24 bytes. So this will return total number of bytes, not in bits. Bytes it is 24 bytes. Because each value is how many bytes? 8 bytes. Each value is 8 bytes. Now 8 into 3 is how many bytes? 24 bytes. Okay. So this return total number of this attribute, this attribute returns, this attribute returns total number of bytes, total number of bytes occupied by array. Total number of bytes occupied by an array that is written by n bytes. See bytes hai na yahan pe. So it will return in what? Bytes, not bits. It will return in what? Bytes, right? So this attribute returns the total number of bytes occupied by the array. It's nothing but item size into number of elements. The size of the item into number of elements, right? So this returns item size, item size into how many number of what? Items. If the item size is 8, number of elements are 3, then it will return 24 bytes. Okay. Yes. So this is n bytes. This is an attribute called n bytes. N bytes is the name of the attribute. Yes. So the next one is, now this is n bytes. This is clear? What is say here? Yes or no? So how many attributes we have seen till now? Come on here. How many attributes we have seen? What is the first one? N dimension. What is the second one? Item size. What is the third one? D type. What is the next one? N bytes. So all these are clear? Yes, all these are clear? Okay. The next one is size. The next one what you have is a size is there. So next attribute is what? Size. So this is another attribute called size. So I'm creating an array by saying np dot array. I'm saying 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So total how many? Suppose I want to know count of values. How many values are there in array? 5 values. Can I get it by using length of A? I'm using a length of A. Now how many values are there? 5 values. Can I get how many values are there by saying print? Now I'm trying to use both approaches. That is length of A. And one more is A dot. A dot, what is it? Size. What is the name of the attribute is size. Is it both are returning same or different? Same. So the size return the total number of elements exist within the array. It will return total number of elements exist within the array. np dot array, np dot array 1, 2, 3, comma 4, 5, 6. Now tell me, this is which array? Single dimensional array or two dimensional array? Two dimensional array. Then I'm saying print. So print length of B and print B dot. B dot, what is that? Size. B dot size. Print length of B. But what is the length of B is written 2. Is it same? Huh? No. Right? So size will count the total number of elements. But whenever you are saying length, length always take which one? Outer. Okay, length will take always which one? Outer. Outer means now this is outer list. Assume that this is outer list and this is what? Inner list. Now whenever you say length, it will count which one? Number of elements within the list. But how many elements are there in the list? Two elements. But inside this, you have number of elements, right? I want to count the number of items. Means how many values are there in the matrix? How many values are there in the matrix? Compulsory. You have to go for which one? Size. So size count the number of values. Number of elements or number of values exist within the array. If it is 2D array, it will count the total number of elements in each dimension. Total number of elements in each dimension. Now this is number of elements in first row, number of elements in what? Second row. Right? Yes. Just try to understand the difference between the length and size. Is it both are same? Huh? Is it both are same or different? Different. So length also count. Length also count, but it counts only outer. It will count only outer, but when it comes to the size, it will count the number of values. It will count the number of values that is written by size. Now this attribute return count of values. This attribute returns count of values or what is that? Items. And it will return this count of values. It will return the count of values. Yeah. It will return the count of values as an integer. It will return the count of values as what? Integers. Right? Yes. These both are not same. Yeah, this is about the size. And the next attribute is, now n dimension I said, and I said about D type, I said about item size, I said about n bytes, I said about which one? Size. There is one more attribute called which one? Shape. Now suppose these attributes are read-only or writable. These attributes are read-only or writable. For example, I said here A equal to np dot array, A equal to np dot array 1 comma 2 comma 3. Now I'm saying print A dot, what is that here? Size. This what is the size? How many elements are there? 3 elements. Now what I'm saying is A dot size equal to 5. I said A dot size equal to what? 5. So immediately it is given what? Error. What is that error is? Attribute error. And you can see this object is not writable. Attribute size of ND array object is what? Not writable. Means can you modify the size? No, you cannot modify the size. If you want to modify the size, you'll try to use some other methods. You'll try to use some other methods, but you cannot modify the size directly. Understood? Right. So all these attributes are what? Yes, read only. All these attributes are what? Read on. If you are trying to change it, then immediately it rises what? Error. So this is an attribute error. Hmm. So the next one is, now there is one more attribute. There is one more attribute, and what is the name of the attribute is shape. There's one more attribute, and the name of the attribute is what? Shape. Now shape attribute return a tuple. Okay. This attribute, okay, this define the structure of array. Shape define the structure of array. Structure of array. Now this attribute returns. This attribute returns what? Tuple. It returns a tuple it returns a tuple which contains the number of items, number of items, number of items in each dimension, number of items in number of items in number of items in each dimension. That is written by which attribute here? Shape. Or you'll say number of attributes in each axis. This this attribute this attribute returns a tuple which contain number of values exist in each what do you call it as axis. Each axis that is written by which one? Shape. That is written by shape. How many values are there in each axis? How many values are there in each dimension? How many values are there in each dimension? How many values are there in each axis? That is written by which one? Shape. That is written by the shape. So shape defines the structure of the array. Shape attribute define the structure of which one? Array. Structure of array is written by which one here? Shape. Let us see here. Okay, let us see here. For example, I am writing A equal to NP dot array. A equal to NP dot array. I am saying 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Means I am trying to create an array by using the elements of what? List. Means here you are converting list into what? You are converting list into what? Array. You are converting list into array. So this list is having how many values? 5 values. You are converting this list into an array. Now what is the dimension of this array? Tell me, what is an array dimension? Uh, One dimension, 1D. This is 1D. What is the dimension is? 1. Means how many axes? One axis. Axis 0. How many elements are there? How many elements are there? 5 elements. What is the shape? What is the shape? 5. What is the shape is? 5. How many elements are there in each axis? That is written by what? Shape. How many elements are there in each axis? That is written by shape. How many values are there in each dimension? That is written by shape. It is one dimension, right? How many values are there? 5 values. How many values are there? 5 values. Are you getting or not? Okay. Then B equal to NP dot array. B equal to NP dot array. Now I'm saying 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, then I'm saying print b dot n dimension. Tell me how many dimensions? Two dimensions. Two dimensions or not? Yes, two dimension. What is the n dimension returns? Two. It is having rows and columns. Rows and columns. Axis 0 and axis 1. Each dimension contain how many values? Three values. I want to know how many values are there in each dimension. Then how can I get that? B dot. B dot, what is that? Shape. B dot shape. It is written. So how many values are there in each dimension? First dimension is having, now axis 0 is having how many? 2. And axis 1 is having how many? 3. Means each row. Now you are saying it is, how many rows are there here? 2 rows. 2 rows. Now this is axis 0, right? This is axis 0. Axis 0 is having how many? 2. And axis 1 is having how many? 3. 2 rows and how many values? Three values. Two rows and how many values? Three values. Now row is nothing but number of values or not? Yes. Getting on. So how many values are there in each dimension? That is written by which one? Shape. Understood? Okay. So first dimension. Now two is nothing but generally you'll say two rows. How many columns? Three columns. Non-technically. Non-technical, you'll say two rows. How many columns? Three columns. Each row is having how many values? Three values. Now, in this case, one row having how many values? Five values. One column having how many values? Five values. Two rows and each row is having how many values? Three values. That is not technical. That is non-technical. Okay, two rows and three columns. Like that you can say it. In the same way, now C equal to NP dot array. C equal to NP dot array. Now I'm creating three-dimensional array. I'm creating what? Three-dimensional array. How you create a three-dimensional array? You create an array, means you create a list. Inside that list, you define how many matrices? Two matrices. See here. I created how many matrices here? Two matrices, and each matrix contain number of rows and columns. Now 1 comma 2, 1 comma 2, okay, 1 comma 2, comma, I'm writing here 3 comma 4, 1 comma 2 and 3 comma 4. Inside this matrix, again I'm saying 5 comma 6, I'm saying 5 comma 6, and then I'm saying 7 comma, what is that? 8. So now just to see here, this is which matrix now? This is which matrix now? Three dimension. N dimension. N dimension is what here? 3. Now you can see 3. Now when I'm saying here print, when I'm saying here print C dot, what is the name of this is? Shape. What is the name of that? Shape. Now you can see 2 comma 2 comma 2. Now 2 is nothing but, alright, 2 is nothing but, what is the first one is? Two matrices. In two matrices, each matrix is having how many rows? Two rows. In each row, how many values are there? Two values. Correct or not? Two matrices, and in each matrix, how many rows are there? Two rows. In each row, how many values are there? Two values. Now, this you can call it as a matrix. This is called as a matrix, and this is number of rows, and this is number of columns. This is a number of rows and columns. Now, that is represented by using which one? Shape. Understood? Now, shape returns how many values are there in each axis. If the row axis, it will return number of rows. If it is a column axis, it returns the number of columns. Number of rows and number of columns, that is defined by which one? Shape. So non-technical, you can say returns. Okay, returns. What it returns? What it returns here? Number of rows and what? Columns. This is number of rows and columns. Non-technical. Number of rows and columns. That is written in one tuple. And that is nothing but what? Shape. Clear? Bolo here. Okay. Yes, is it shape is clear? क्या हुआ यार? यस नहीं बोल रहे आप, कुछ नहीं बोल रहे? हाँ, ब्रेकफास्ट यू हैव? नो, नो ना, यस सर, अभी जाना. Now can I change the shape? Can I change the shape attribute? For example, A equal to np dot array 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4. Now this is which array? 1D array. 1D array. I'm saying A dot n dimension. And then I'm saying A dot, what is the attribute is shape. If you run this, now one dimension and how many values? 4 values. Now I'm writing A dot shape equal to 2 comma 2. A dot shape equal to 2 comma 2. Means I'm changing from 1D to what? I'm changing from 1D to what? 2D. 2D, huh? So how many rows? 2 rows. And how many columns? 2 columns. But is it given error? Huh? No. It means shape is a read only. Huh? Is it shape is read only or writable? Writable. Shape is not read only. Shape is not read only. It is what? Writable. If I'm saying A dot shape, A dot shape, A dot shape, how many rows and how many columns? 2 rows and 2 columns. 2 rows and 2 columns. And if you say print A and A dot n dimension. If I'm saying A dot n dimension, now it is changed from 1D to what? 2D. This process generally you call it as broadcasting. It's called as which one? Broadcasting. Means converting from one dimension to what? Another. But there are some rules when you are working with what? Broadcasting. That rules will discuss it. But is the shape is read only or writable? Writable. So that is where you'll say, that is where you'll say writable means at the time of creating object. At the time of creating object, you are defining it, right? So shape is a writable attribute. Okay, shape is a writable attribute. So this attribute, this attribute can be used to change what here? Shape of the, to change the shape of the array. To change the shape of the array. You can use this attribute to change the shape of the array. So that is done by using an attribute called shape. Okay, right now that is generally converting a shape of one array to another. Okay, changing the shape of the array from one to another is called broadcasting. So broadcasting can be, I mean, you can change it. We'll discuss that. Broadcasting will discuss. Now let us complete remaining attributes. Now we have completed n dimension. We have completed shape, data type, item size, n bytes, size, and next one is data. You have a data and you have a flatten. Now flatten array. Team is transpose. Team is what? Transpose. You can transpose of matrix you can find out by just using which attribute? T attribute. So what is the name of the attribute you are using? T. So let us talk about, yeah. Now is it clear? Voice is clear now? So let us talk about np dot array. NP dot array, I'm saying here 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5. Now this is an array contain how many values? 5 values. It is an array contain how many values? 5 values. And I'm saying A dot. Okay, what I'm saying is here A dot. So what is the attribute we'll discuss here? Okay, A dot. Now size is over. Now next is which one? Flat. Flatten array. So I'm trying to say A dot. What is the name of the attribute? Flat. Flat. So this is written which object? Flatter object. It is written which object? Flatter object it is written. Okay. Now here I'm writing a B equal to, okay, B equal to A dot. What I'm saying here? Flat. And if I'm saying print B, if I'm saying print B, now B is nothing but which object again? Flatter object. Flatten array. Flatten array is nothing but, let us see this. Now C equal to NP dot array. NP dot array. NP dot array. I'm creating an array with number of rows and columns. 1, 2, 3, comma 1, 2, 3, comma 4, 5, 6. Now this is a matrix contain number of rows and columns. Number of rows and columns. Now how many rows and columns are there? 2 rows and 3 columns. This is two-dimensional array and each row is having how many values? 3 values. Now what is the shape of this array? 2 by 3. What is the shape of this array? 2 by 3. 2 by 3 is the shape of the array. What is the size of this array? Size is what? 6. Now, how can you find the size? You multiply the values in the shape. If you multiply the values in the shape, then you'll get what? Size. Yes, sir? Yes, sir? No, no. Okay. Now this is, I'm writing here D. D equal to C dot. C dot. What is the name of this attribute? Flat. Flatten array. Flatten means converting multiple dimensional array into which array? 1D array. What it will do is flattening is nothing but converting. Flattening is nothing but what? Converting. Converting into which array? 1D array. Now this is very much useful when you are iterating data. When you are iterating data, you want to iterate means read. You want to iterate or read data by converting into which type? 1D array. 1D array means it will organize everything in sequential order or not? Yes. Now in that case, you convert to increase the efficiency in reading. To increase the efficiency in what? Reading, when huge amount of data is there, if number of dimension, number of values are there, then you convert that data while reading that array into which array? 1D array. 1D array rather than switching from one place to another. Switching from one place to what? Another, you try to iterate it by organizing all the elements into which array? 1D array. That you can call it as which one? Flattening. Flattening is nothing but converting multi-dimensional array into what? Single dimensional array. This is helpful while iterating. This is helpful while iterating the data. It is helpful while iterating what? Data from which array? 2D array, a 3D array or what? ND array. But 1D array means already it is flattened array or not? Yes. But if it is 2D array, it is reading data, it takes a lot of time. Because of that, you convert that 2D array or 3D array into which array? 1D array by using an attribute called which one? Flat. But what flat is returning? What flat is returning? Flatter object. Flatter object means it is iterator. What it returns? Iterator object. Iterator. You know iterator? Huh? How to create an iterator in Python? How to build iterate? How to create an iterator in Python? Using generators. Using generators. Can you build your own iterators? Huh? Can you build your own iterators? Yes, by using generators. What is generator? When you call generator, what it returns? When you call the generator, what it returns? Iterator object. When you call generator, you call generator function, right? What it returns? Iterator object. And what iterator object will do? Iterate or iterate. Read values. Read values. Okay. Read values from memory. Is it iterator contain any data? No. Iterator doesn't contain any data. Iterator uses other collections. Other collections are it uses some source to read what? Data. Some source to read what here? Data. That is what you call it as lazy evaluation. Lazy evaluation means when it required, then only it will read the data, but doesn't have data in what? Iterator. So flattening also returns which object? Iterator object. And that iterator object is given to which loop? For loop. That iterator object is given to which loop? For loop. And what for loop will do? Iterate each element. Read each element generated by what? Iterator. But how this flatter object is reading? By converting your data into which type? 1D. So that iterating elements, it increase the efficiency in iterating what? Data from 2 dimension or 3 dimension or what? N dimension. That time we'll discuss. But what is flat is? What is flat? Flat is returning which object? Flatter object. What is flatter object is? Iterator object, which iterate the data by converting into which type? 1D array. It is more efficient in reading data. It is used only for reading data, right? Yes, flat. We'll see the time. Time without flat, time with flat. But that we'll discuss once we move to how to read the data from array. How to read the data from array. So what is the next attribute is flat attribute. Flattening. So this attribute returns which object? Iterator object. It returns the iterator object which read values or items from array by converting into which array? 1D array. 1D array. Flattening array is nothing but 1D. Flattening array is nothing but 1D. So flattening array is nothing but converting into 1D. So this attribute returns iterator object which read values or items from array by converting into which array? 1D array. By converting into which array? 1D array. Now see the output of this, but we are not using. Here in this example are used or not used? Not used. What is this hexadecimal is saying? What is hexadecimal here? Huh? What is this hexadecimal value here? Huh? अरे वो hexadecimal value क्या है? Address. What is that? Address. Address of this. यहाँ पे देखो यार English आता ना. numpy dot flatten object is at what? This location. This is a memory address or not? Yes. This is a memory address. Memory address is larger value and larger values are represented in which format? Hexadecimal format. So it is written the object address or object values. Object address, not object value. It is not written object value. It is written object address. Okay. Clear this one? So then now these are the attributes what we have seen, and there is some more attributes are there What is that attribute is? Data. And one more is a transpose. Then after that, we'll see how to read data from which one? Array. How to read the data from array, right? Yes. But that we'll discuss in the next class, right? Now, one more. Now, again, you have a break here. So tomorrow, 3 days, I'll be not coming here. Okay. So it means next class will be there on Monday. Okay. Okay. So no class 3 days. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Right. So next class will be there on Monday because of my some personal work. Right. So no class for 3 days. Okay. Next class will be there on Monday. Okay. Na? So we'll see you on Monday. Okay. Thank you. So notes will be uploaded in Google Classroom. Notes will be uploaded in Google Classroom. Okay. ఈరోజు లేదండి మండే గూగుల్ క్లాస్ రూమ్ లో అప్లోడ్ చేస్తాను లేదా నోట్బుక్ ఓన్లీ నోట్బుకే జూపిటర్ నోట్బుక్ ఉంది కదా అది లాస్ట్ లో నోట్స్ పెడతాం డైలీ క్లాస్ రూమ్ కోడ్ యూ ఆస్క్ యువర్ యా 7 p.m. batch is over. Okay. Yes. Today's class notes I'll upload in the Google Classroom. A Telegram. I'll upload in my Telegram. Today's class notes I'll upload in my Telegram. Two months. This course duration is 2 months. This is my Telegram. This is my Telegram ID. You can convert hexadecimal to decimal, but that is bigger value. 7 p.m. batch starting from Monday. No, here. Who said?